What advice do you have, not for business leaders, but for young people entering the workforce today?
Yeah, you have to realize that the experiences of Gen Z, which I recently heard somebody suggest we call it Gen C, because the Gen Z generation may be more defined by COVID than anything else. It interrupted their education, it interrupted their entry into the workforce. It defined them in so many different ways because it has shifted work in a lot of ways, but it's also shifted all over human relationships. So I think the first thing to understand is that you're going to be working with and for people who had very different experiences from you. They are not true digital natives, where I think you are the first really true digital native population. They traded loyalty for security. That was the work promise for them. So they might have some allegiance to the organization that you work for that feels unfamiliar to you because you knew that loyalty for security wasn't a promise that was going to be true for you. You're looking for other things for work. You're looking for that mentorship, you're looking for that mission. You have always worked in a fairly asynchronous way through text messages and social media. So we're very fluid with those kinds of communications. You probably haven't worked as much in person and with your in-person socialization skills. That probably does need some work, especially because of COVID. So seek mentors. And I would say when you're looking for your first job, don't look for your first job, look for your first boss. Your first boss is going to shape your life. That is the person who's going to be your mentor, who's going to help you navigate. Because whatever the first job is, it's fairly irrelevant what the skills are in it. It's more important to develop those relationships and that mentoring.
In a world so pessimistic, the last question I want to ask you is, what are you optimistic about?
I am optimistic about humans. I was at an event yesterday in Miami. I was walking through the airport and I noticed just off in the distance, not right in front of me, but a little bit off in the distance, an elderly woman had fallen down. And we're living in a world that's so cynical right now. When I asked friends of mine that I saw at a pub last night, what do you think happened? And they all said everybody stepped around her, everybody walked away. I said, absolutely not. Everybody went over and tried to help her up. I am so optimistic about humans. We are hardwired to be connected, and we're disconnected right now. We have so much more in common than we have in difference, and we are oriented to help each other. And there's no better explanation than at a busy airport where everybody stopped, no matter how close they were to their gate, and wanted to take off to try to help this woman up. And I think that is kind of what's hardwired for most of us. We are mostly good. I say the majority of us are really good people who want to make a better world, a better community, a better neighborhood, and they want to help that person who fell on the ground. So,
Optimistic about humanity. Well, that is
yeah,
going to
I'd say I'm a belligerent optimist.
that's fantastic. That's a good way to live life. That is going to conclude our conversation with Heather McGowan. Heather, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much for having me.